Hi and welcome to another video. In this video I just wanted to go through the latest firmware update for our Rapture GT-AX11000 router. So as you can see here, it's got around 4 improvements that have come here, and most of them are not new features but actually security patches. So it's always good to see, as usual, as I've mentioned before, that they're constantly updating and taking feedback from others as well, and actually working on them and actually getting patches out as quick as possible. So I think that's really good from Asus. So as we can see, we'll just quickly go through a summary and then into a bit more detail. So as you can see, this was released on the 8th to 7th, so that was only a few days ago, and it comes in about 66 megabytes. So it's not a huge download. So this brings the actual firmware now to 386.44266. So of course this firmware, if you've got other Asus routers as well, will probably be available at the same time or later. So it's best to check. So as you can see here, the first one is improved connection stability. So it doesn't go into details if it's the WAN or LAN stability, but it's always good to see if they're always making it better for us, and they've got a more stable connection, either WAN or LAN, so that's really good. So 2 is the modified DNS settings. So your DNS, again, is like we said before, is like a dictionary, so it transfers like your www.google.com into 192.83.86.457. So basically you don't have to remember the IP number, you just type in the actual name like google.com and it does there. So you've got different companies out there, like your ISP, if you haven't changed it, will automatically set that up, or you can change it to Cloudflare or Google, or there's OpenDNS. There's multiple good companies that you can change your DNS settings to. And what this does is that basically the router's DNS can now be assigned to the LAN, so that's your internal network side of the DNS. So before you couldn't do that, so that's good to see. 3 is they've fixed the denial of service vulnerability. So they're saying that's from spoofed an SAE authentication frame. So so what that means is the SAE is actually WPA3. So what that is basically your new security standard. So as we said, nothing is 100% foolproof. So they found a vulnerability here for a DOS attack. And a vulnerability they can spoof a frame. So what that actual SAE is a type of, is within the new WPA3 Wi-Fi Protected Access 3. Basically, it's a certification that augments its before the WPA2 with protected mechanisms. So what that does is a resistance against password dictionary attacks. So the SAE, like simultaneous authentication of equals handshake. So it's a big thing, to be honest, technical. So basically it just makes it more secure, and hopefully it will be resistant against password dictionary attacks, where someone literally has a big text file of all released passwords, and instead they can just guess your password by just hammering your network with all of those different passwords, and hopefully it'll be one of those. So what this does is, hopefully, is the SAE is basically part of the WPA3 standard. So again, it's good to see that they're updating that as well, but also it's a bit bad that this is just a new basic certification of encryption for the Wi-Fi, and already they're finding lots of vulnerabilities in there, but at least they're patching them, so that's good. So the next one is we've got there to fix the envrams exposed issue. So again, like before, they're actually taking it from the outside. So this is from Inspector Research Lab contribution. So it's good to see that they're taking on the others there. So what envrams exposure issue? So I don't want to go into too much detail and confusion. So basically, there's some coding in there launching from envram server. So in our case, you can see some information, even if you go into like the GitHub on for Merlin. That's the third-party firmware, and even Asus, you'll be able to see that there's some references to envrams there as well, and about launching the envram server in order to read the manufacturer's envram variables. So basically, to summarize it, is basically just to it was exposing information that it shouldn't be, so it fixed that, so the memory leak won't happen. So it's good again. So these four mainly are security. Well, the three are security, and number two is just a option now you can choose to assign the DNS on the LAN side. So that's good to see. So as you know, as normal, within the router on your dashboard, you would hopefully be seeing that little bell flashing. So that means that there's a new firmware, and also there'll be some notification as well within your mobile app if you use that instead. And then you just go to your firmware upgrade, and then of course you just go do a check as you normally do. It'll take a minute or so where it checks on the Asus website, and then you'll see their firmware upgrade. And also it does tell you here what the new latest version is. If you do click on that, it also will give you the release notes as well, and what it fixes, and then anything else, and then the information on there. So that's always good to have all built in. And as soon as you've done that, then you just click on firmware upgrade, and it will start downloading the firmware, installing it, and then it will automatically restart the router. Just be wary that when it's restarting and updating the firmware, don't switch off the router. Make sure there's no power like lightning storms or anything like that. They might have power cuts, because sometimes it will damage it if you actually switch it off while it's updating the firmware. You could possibly brick the router, so especially how much this router is, you don't want to be doing that. And also just make sure once it goes through, it will restart automatically anyway. So like it said, it will take about 3 to 5 minutes. Once it's done that, you'll see your Wi-Fi networks come back up, and hopefully they'll automatically connect, and you can just go back in and log into your router, and then on the top firmware version, you'll be able to see it's upgraded to the new version. So thanks for this quick video and watching, and have a great day.